Great day to be welcoming you to UCL Biochemical Engineering's webinar on manufacture and commercialization of stem cell and gene therapies. I'm joined by the program director and admissions tutor, Dr. Rana Khalife, and I've also got Bernice Wright from the program, as well as two people who went through it. So we've got Tamas and Sid with us as well. So just a little bit of housekeeping, how we're going to run this session. First of all, just to make sure everything is working, set this up so that you can message me. So if you can hear me okay, just pop hi or hello in the chat, just so that I know that the microphone's okay and that you're hearing our audio and that the chat's working. So should be great. Somebody said hello. Fantastic. Great. I know that everything's working. That's a great start. So as you've already found the chat function, hopefully. If you're watching on a mobile device, you actually have the option of configuring us so that we're in gallery format, or you see the speaker. So you have a few ways of being able to see to watch this session. You've got the chat function. If you have any technical problems, if you can't hear us, or there's a problem with the screen, what we're presenting, let us know in the chat. Myself and the other presenters will see your messages. We're looking forward to your questions. More than happy to answer them. We're always really excited to hear what you've got to ask. Please put them in the Q&A box. There's a Q&A function. It's really helpful for us because we can make sure that we don't miss any of them. If they come up in the chat, they can easily get lost as they disappear into the screen. So you sometimes miss them. So put them in the Q&A. You can also post them anonymously, which may be something you want to do. But the option's there for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Rana, who will introduce it, and Bernice, and they'll talk about the program, and then Tamas and Sid will join later. They're there to answer your questions. They'll be able to give you the student perspective, which is great. And after this session as well, I'll send you an email, which will give, if there's anything we've mentioned, there'll be some links involved in there. Also, because of problems in London with the transport system, we couldn't get into UCL East today. So we'll offer you the option of coming and joining us another time to online to have a view around the UCLE's Manufacturing Futures Lab. So I'm going to hand over to Rana. If I turn my screen off, I will still be here in the background. You can ask me questions and I'll be available to help. But Rana, over to you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for the lovely introduction. So my name is Rana Khalife. I'm the program director of this MSc. Which has the longest title ever. So I'm not sure how did you find us, by writing one words or two keywords. So I'm the regenerative medicine minor coordinator within the Faculty of Engineering as well, and the chair of recruitment in the department. So briefly today, I'm just going to talk about the program, and then my colleague, Dr. Bernice Wright, is going to join me. And maybe Bernice, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Bernice Wright. I'm one of the teaching lecturers on the MSc course, and I lead some of the core modules as well. And yeah, I'm happy to take your questions later on. So I'll pass over to Rana.
Thank you, Bernice. And our alumni student, who just graduated, or they're still waiting for their transcript to be official. Tamas and Sid, they've graduated and they stayed with us to do a PhD. So we're lucky to have them stayed with us. Sid is in the lab, so I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to introduce himself now or maybe later. But Tamas, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, welcome everyone. So I think I grew up in this department. I did my undergrad here as a biochemical engineering student, and later I joined to this master, and now I'm doing my PhD. So in total, probably it will be 8 years in the department. My main field is stem cells and stem cell therapies, and currently my PhD is with Orchard Therapeutics, who is one of the key players with the hematopoietic stem cells in the industry. I think that's for first instance.
Thank you, Tamas. Tamas will take questions later on. Sid?
So sorry, Rana, I'm just in the lab right now. Could you repeat the question?
If you just introduce yourself for now. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So my name is Sid McLean, and I am a very recent graduate of the Masters. I just completed it with Tamas. And yeah, prior to this, I was working as a mechanical engineer designing cell therapy instruments. And yeah, I took this course to really increase my knowledge of the field and yeah, prepare myself to get a job working in CAR-T cell therapy.
Thank you, Sid. Well, if you can answer some questions later on after my presentation, that will be good. So we'll give you time to do your experiment. Okay. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Yes, perfect. Okay. So UCL is one of the leading university in the world, and we're known of disruptive thinking. I don't know if you know this person. He's the spiritual founder of UCL because he was introducing disruptive thinking, and we were the first to welcome women at university, people coming from different religion or ethnicity, and creating this kind of disruptive thinking to combine different kind of field together, like science and art as well. So we're top rated UK university for research and for teaching as well. We're more than 4,000 academic staff, and we're around 50-50 between, if you want to categorize staff and students, between women and men. So we have the main campus, which is near Houston. This is the UCL main building, but last year we moved to some of the programs were moved to UCL East. It's in Stratford. The initial plan is to have 2 buildings now. Now we have 2 buildings, one Pool Street and Marshgate, but the future is to have more buildings in that facility. Now, although we're a small department and we celebrated 25th anniversary last year, we're a small department. We have a variety of academics and teaching fellows, and this reflects in our research approach and how we teach the students as well. As well as UCL attracts a lot of funding hubs and these kind of like a project that enhance the collaboration between different university within UK or outside UK and different companies. So you see a lot of vaccine hubs as well, cell and gene therapy as well. So why we chose to start this program? So this is the 6th cohort that we're taking now. So it's kind of like a recent program that we started. And why? Because we see a lot of discoveries that happening at a bench scale. For example, let's say the discovery of some gene therapy or cell therapy, or even let's say vaccine, let's say. But the core of the biochemical engineering is how you can take this kind of discovery and translate it into a real life. To translate this into real life, you have to consider how the regulatory body will go, how you take things from preclinical to clinical trials to different clinical trials. And the most important thing, if I'm doing allogeneic, so allogeneic therapy is basically having one donor, and this donor or this patient will, the result of the therapy will go for different people. So if I want to produce something at a larger scale, how can I do this? This is how biochemical engineering interfere and the bioprocessing aspect of it. So, and this was reflected in FDA report, where they said that we have a lot of knowledge when it comes to producing things, but we don't have a lot of things when it comes to translating it at a larger scale. So there is kind of like a limitation when it comes to manufacturing. Especially, I'm not dealing with a drug, I'm dealing with a cell, or I'm dealing with antibodies or protein. Okay, so we have limited knowledge when it comes to scalable. So we need people with bioprocessing background. Not only this, like a few years ago, and even after the pandemic, you saw that, okay, we know how to produce this kind of like a vaccine, but there is kind of a shortage when it comes to translating this kind of a vaccine or producing this kind of a vaccine at a larger scale. Okay. So I've attended a meeting in with Catapult. So it was combining academia and industry. This was before the pandemic in 2018, and they were saying we need to fill a gap with people. We have a shortage of people who have bioprocessing background, and this gap is around 400 people per year. But this dramatically has changed after the pandemic. Now the shortage is even bigger, and we're estimating that this kind of shortage will even get higher, and around 6,000 people per year with bioprocessing background. So what is this kind of program? It's 1-year program, but as you saw from Thomas and Sid, so Thomas is a biochemical engineering by training, Sid is a mech-eng, and we have in the current cohort people coming from biochemistry background, chemical engineer, and so on. So we're really kind of reflecting the interdisciplinary thinking that we have at UCL in this kind of program. And we want to prepare 2 sets of future leaders in this field. So we want to have leaders in manufacturing and science leaders, and when it comes to business, but because as you can see in this program, we're not only emphasizing on the manufacturing aspect and bioprocessing aspect, but on the commercialization aspect as well as the science behind that. Now, looking into this, when I will show you the career path of our alumni students, you have a variety of career path that you can take after this MSc. What's good about this program and what is unique about this program is that it is heavily industry-led, okay? So when we were first, 5 years ago, when we were first drafting the content, how we assess the students, the topics that we're gonna go over with the students, we have industrial committee members that I will show you later on. We took all of this information, we sat down with them, and they gave us feedback because they know, because they were the one leading in industry nowadays, so they know which kind of set graduate they want and the set skills that they want. Not only this, these industrial committee members sit on our panel. They deliver lectures, they propose research project. So for 2 years now, I've secured a research project placement in industry. So when I will show you the modules, you see that one of the modules, which is 60 credits, is research project. So usually it's based in the lab at UCL, but for the last 2 years, we've been talking to industry to host some of our students in their company to do their research project. And this research project could be lab-based, could be desk-based, could be even business plan project. And these industrial committee members comes to our poster sessions for research project and Dragon Den, and I will touch base on the Dragon Den later on. Okay. So you have 6 modules. So you have the advanced therapies with Professor Qasim Rafiq. You have the in term 1 and term 2. And then in term 1, you have the preclinical and emerging tools with Dr. Bernice. And then in term 2, you have the commercialization and the core practical skills. So with the core practical skills, you go to the lab, you practice how to culture cells and some of the analytics. So you would be ready for your research project that usually starts in March. So normal way how people teach is you have just like seminar, you have tutorials, you have to sit in a lectures and video and so on. The novel approach that we take is basically we have in the commercialization where you will be set in a group and you will be designing something novel for your therapy. And then how you pitch this is we tell you to pitch this as a Dragon Den pitch to our industrial committee members. And this will enhances the presentation skills that you will be able to develop. We have a virtual simulator called Labster. So during the pandemic, we were not sure if we're gonna be in the labs or not, and it was the first cohort. So we've implemented a virtual simulator. So for example, for each of the topic of the core practical skills that you have, let's say culturing cells or some of the analytics, we have a link where you can actually practice this using virtual simulator. I usually have some coffee sessions with the students to see how they are doing as well. And in some of the cases, we have free tickets for some conferences. So I send it to the students so they can attend. Okay. Also, we have a kind of a side visit because we're talking about bioprocessing, about manufacturing, how you can design a facility in a GMP, good manufacturing skill practice. But actually, the students need to see how it is done. So the first site visit was for Mira GTX in Shortage. And then the next year, they went to, well, of course, another cohort went to King's College. And the last cohort, twice. They went once to King's College and then a side visit to MFX as well. And part of the UCLE's and the nice facility, laboratory facility that we have, as well as some of the facilities. So for example, this is a cinema that we have in UCLE's. So we've used it for the Dragon Den pitch for our students. These are the steering committee members that we currently have, and you could see that these people are leading when it comes to cell and gene therapy, and they come from different kind of field. Some of them are process engineers, some of them as a biochemist or even a medical doctor. So when it comes to career path, so some of the students actually, one of the students who was in the first cohort now is finishing a PhD with us. Some of them, they went to project management. Some of them, they went through the business aspect. And as you can see, most of our graduate students are working in companies that we collaborate with, or the industrial committee members are part of it. Some of the students, because for example, in one of the lectures, we were talking about IP, they were interested in IP and now they are IP consulting. And some of them are working as a consulting as well. Okay. Okay, I'm done. I'm not sure if Bernice, so what we will do now is Bernice will show you a lab tour of our facility. So sorry, we couldn't do this live because of the tube strike. Bernice, whenever you're ready, and then we can answer some of the questions.
Okay, so what I'll do first is just show you some pictures of, just to give you an overview of the facility and to show you the main wet lab, which is the teaching lab where you would work. I will just make this into a large screen. Please ignore the branding. I just wanted to show you the picture of the main wet lab. You can see all of the students. This is the main space where we do all of our protein biochemistry and chemistry, and there are some fume hoods at the back of the lab. So this lab has a capacity for 100 students, and the picture below it, with no one in the lab, is the biocontainment lab, so the cell culture lab, which is a clean room. It's not a GMP facility, obviously, but it because we don't have that, but it is a clean lab where we only do mammalian cell culture work, and you will also be working in this lab. And you can see this is the main mezzanine area this is how the Mashgate building, which is the main Mashgate building where these labs are. This is what it looks like. And it's quite a modern building. It's very well designed. And here we are in the Olympic Park. So you can see the sculpture here. So this massive sculpture-looking building here, which is one of the main features of the Olympic Park in Stratford in London. And this is the Mashgate building that you can see here near the river. So it's a really very picturesque area, and it's very pleasant to work there. So I'm going to stop sharing the slide. And I'm going to now show you a video of myself talking about what it's like to be to work in the Department of Biochemical Engineering as a bioprocess research scientist. So I will share that screen with that video with you. Okay, so if I make the screen larger, you can see this. The most important part of the work for me is to be able to develop a drug or medicine that can help somebody.
I'm not sure if we can hear. We cannot hear it.
Biochemical
We've
engineering.
lost the audio.
Ah, you have. Okay, okay. Okay. I don't know if I can.
Actually, I mean, you could just voice it over and explain what they're seeing if it's not working.
I can. Yeah. I don't know if I can put on subtitles. Possibly not. Okay, I'll do a voiceover. It's fine. Can I do voice subtitles? No. Okay, that's fine. All right. So basically, tools and medicines. I am talking about how engineering and business. We design ways of getting cells to make or do what we need. You can't hear me.
No, it's perfect. It was working right now with the video.
Yes, it started working again.
Yeah, it was working perfectly right now.
Oh, okay, then we can go back here. Can you hear it now? Can you hear it? Somebody feel better, that can cure disease.
I think when you mute your own microphone, Bernice, it mutes that as well.
Trained cell and gene therapy and a research scientist. I work for Resilience, which is a medicines manufacturing skills training program. A biochemical engineer makes biological tools and medicines using a combination of chemistry, biology, engineering, and business. We design ways of getting cells to make or do what we need them to, and then obtain a product from those cells in a way that's useful. I work on cell products called extracellular vesicles, or EVs. They are basically pieces of the cell that contain DNA, RNA, proteins, and metabolites in a package surrounded by a membrane. EVs are like medical FedEx for cells because they carry chemical information and medicine from one cell to another. I set up experiments to investigate my EVs and check how well the separation has worked. I collect all my results, complete my data analysis, and plan the next series of experiments based on what the results show me. You could work 8 hours one day and 12 the next. Experiments aren't predictable and need to be optimized, especially if they're new, so you need that flexibility when it comes to working hours. The best thing about my job is that I get to ask really interesting questions and go into the lab to try to answer them. For me, that's the basis for being a scientist and the reason why I wanted to be one. What's exciting for me right now is the development of advanced therapies like cell and gene therapies that are curative. So we are now developing these advanced therapies to cure various types of leukemias that otherwise would be incurable. I've always been interested in science, so I did a bachelor's degree in biochemistry. In my third year, whilst completing my research project, I realized I really enjoyed research. And so I decided to do a master's degree in cell biology, followed by a doctorate. I started my postdoctoral work in cell transport technology, then worked in tissue engineering and on a drug delivery vector targeted at treating cancer. Along the way, I've been doing my own research for treatment of arthritis. I'm part of a bigger mission that scientists around the world are addressing, trying to understand how to manufacture large enough amounts of medicine in a safe, affordable, and sustainable way. The one piece of advice I would give is to just always be curious. We have some established ways of solving problems that work really well, but working within medicines manufacturing, it's always developing. We're always developing new techniques, new equipment. So always remain curious and try new things. Okay, so can you hear me? I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Bernice.
So that was just an overview of what it's like to work as a research scientist.
Thank you, Bernice. And Bernice has shown the facility that we have at UCL East, which is amazing and brand new. part of UCL East, we have the teaching labs, and we have the research labs, which called MFL, Manufacturing Future Labs, which kind of reflects the interdisciplinary thinking. So we have different departments coming in one pot to work on some things. Okay, so we're gonna start taking the questions now. The program is held at UCL, more specifically at UCL East. Okay, and another question is about the training program. So we offer MBI programs, and then even with the resilience program, training program, but these are for industrial people. So I'm not sure if the person asking is industrial, then they can log into our website and they can see the training courses that we offer.
I just want to pop in for a moment, just to remind people, please use the Q&A function. I can see we've got a couple of questions, but it really helps us if you put the questions in the Q&A box. We might lose them if they come in the chat function. I also want to take this opportunity to shamelessly plug some other things we've got going on at UCL Biochemical Engineering. Every year we do a series of taster lectures, and in the past we've done things like novel immunotherapies, so things like lupus. One of our researchers is working on lupus, doing some incredible work there. John Hales has done work on virus lasers. I really wanted to get him to do another talk on his research, but they're so busy they couldn't do it. But we have got a couple of talks on lab-grown food, and one of my colleagues is going to be talking about the challenge of growing dodo nuggets and T-Rex legs. And it's a really good headline, but it brings into questions of how you can actually source DNA material, how reliable it is after a long time that breaks down, and then things like actually how you create a structure and a framework where you could build meat, and why things like nuggets are actually going to be a lot easier to produce. But then questions around ethics, just because you can, should you? And it's going to be hopefully be a really interesting talk. So do have a look at some of those. I'll put links to it in the chat function. I'll also send you links to it afterwards. They're not happening until the spring, but please sign up to them, come along to them, because they're going to be really exciting. We're also going to be talking about, Bernice has done one on cell-free exomes. If I remember rightly, Rana's done one. They're really interesting. They give you an insight into what biochemical engineering does and what biochemical engineering can achieve. And as well as stem cell gene therapies, we talk about some of the other aspects. So if you can, please come along to those. They're really good, really exciting. Right, I'm going to hand you back now to see some of the questions that have come through now that I've done that plug.
Yeah, a few comments on the Dragon Den. Yeah, it's really good because you really want to prepare the students to first work as a group, because when you go to industry, you will be working in a group on specific things. So first you're developing the group kind of like skills, the leadership skills, as well as the collaboration skill to the students, and the fact that they can really pitch it. And this is how they want to sell, especially if they go to the commercialization and business aspect. So I'm gonna go back to the Q&A. Some have asked about how much does it cost. So it depends. So maybe Kim, if you can pop in the website for our MSc, because it depends if you are considered as home students or international. So you can check this as well. So how much of the course focuses on hands-on on the lab experience, and which kind of lab techniques we will be advised on? So as I mentioned, you will be using first LabSir, which is a virtual one, but you will actually go to the lab in March and you will spend 1 week in the lab. So first, in the core practical skills, we don't only teach you about cell culture, safety, and so on, and the analytics, but we go over troubleshooting and how to do statistical analysis and so on. So you will go to the lab in March, where you will be given kind of like a scenario. For example, you have pluripotent stem cells that were differentiated into mesenchymal stem cells. And with these mesenchymal stem cells, they were differentiated into different type of bone or cartilage. So you will be growing cells in the lab, and then you will be able to do immunostaining, flow cytometer, Western blot, and PCR. So I've already answered this. Is there any scholarship for international student? So usually for this year and the coming year, we have some bursaries for home students, but for international students, you can visit UCL website because there are plenty of scholarship for international students, but not specific to this MSc, but it's more about UCL. What career support does UCL offer for students entering the stem cell industry after graduating? So you will get around 3 supports. So once we have career liaising officer and career events in our department. Second, you have careers talk within UCL and within the union, UCL union. They usually do kind of like career events. And because we are based at UCL East, we have career events happening at UCL East as well. So you will be receiving a lot of emails to attend these kind of session, and it's a good networking opportunities as well. Now, how we support our students is within the industrial committee members that I forgot to mention, we have kind of like a mentorship scheme where these kind of industrial people will be mentoring you. So you could ask them, for example, career advices or like to have a look into your CV and give you kind of like advices.